Hello! Hello, hello. Here's the thing. Let me move this one more time. Okay, I'll stop moving you guys now. Here's the thing. I forgot when I usually go live. I forgot that it is in fact at 7 o'clock and not 6:30 Central. So here we are. We're half an hour early. And hey, that's fine. We'll just start the party a little bit earlier today. 491 Phantom, welcome in, Phantom. How you doing? DM Chris, welcome in. Goki Goblin King, my liege, welcome in. It's an honor and a pleasure. And Rick, hello, hello. Oh my god, that's the other thing I forgot to do. Is to update the titles. Dude, I'm on it today. I'm really on one today. Let me just do that now. How are you guys? How is everything? How was your weekend? I might be just a little bit sick, to be honest, at this point. There we go. Bapa Booey. Sorry about that. If you refresh the page now, it should reflect the proper title. Are we starting early? We are. I forgot what time I usually stream. I just plumb up and forgot. So here we are, half an hour early, and we're gonna do stuff and hang out. It only gets better the older you get. Great. I can't wait. The thing is, to just be older and like have an excuse for it just kind of seems like a relief. So I can't just be like, yeah, I'm just like this. One day I'll be able to say like, oh, well, I'm old, you know. That's what my knees and back says. Seems like I always tune in at the wrong time, but this time the wrong time is actually the right time. Finn, welcome in. Hello, hello. Good to see you. It's a very clacky keyboard. I know. I don't know if I like it. I know a lot of people are into like the clacky kind of keys. It's not my favorite. Nobody accepts the excuse. Well, at that point though, then that's on them. Then you can say like, hey, you're bullying the elderly. Maglet, hello, hello, welcome in. How are you today? Shout out to Kathy C for the recent interview. I've never met her, but behind every RPG CEO, there's a great woman. Here's the thing about interviewing Kathy Chenault. It was so much fun. I think that might be... I mean, I loved doing all of the interviews, but that one might have been my favorite. I don't know. They're all so much fun. But she is so easy to talk to and so intelligent and so funny. And I loved doing that interview with her, and I hope to potentially maybe do more if she ever, like has time for it and stuff. I don't want to be like overbearing, but it was really a lot of fun. ASMR is not for everyone. Dude, you don't even have... Yeah, I get that. Also, am I too loud on that point? I'm not into the ASMR either. One thing that will make me just like scroll right past a video is when people do this on things with their nails. Miss me. I hate it. But how was y'all's weekend? We went to the park, and a certain special puppy had a very good time. Let me also turn this music down just a little bit. Let me know if the music's too loud or too quiet or anything. Glad to see you. Pardon if you answered this before, but how did you get into RPGs originally? How did you start working with the Troll Lords? I don't know if anyone's actually asked me that in stream. I'm happy to answer that. So I got into RPGs because I was into video games. I really loved like RPG, like high fantasy video games. I was really into like the BioWare stuff, so like Mass Effect, Dragon Age, those kind of games. And I'd heard about D&D and always thought that it was something that I'd really like to try, except for the small fact that I didn't really have friends that were into that sort of thing. And I was really quiet and kind of like shy in general, so it wasn't really the type of thing that I felt super cool like bringing up. So I lived and lived for many years never trying it and just pining silently. And then started watching Critical Role and sort of learning the rules of the game through that. And then I started like doing videos on TikTok and became part of this like group of like a storytelling team for like a series of videos on TikTok. And that group started a D&D game. So that was my first... Well, that wasn't my first game. I don't talk about my first game because the thing that I did before that was join a group with like randos. And that was a terrible experience. I don't count that one. First like real experience with friends. And then from there, that was an actual play. And from there was like part of that group kind of spun off and did their own actual play, and I was invited to the cast of that one. So most of the games that I've ever really played have been like streamed content, which has been cool. And Lando, welcome in. Sorry, I'm just like chattering away about my life. Welcome back for month 27, 23-month streak. God damn, it's so good to see you. How are you? And then as for like TLG, moving on from D&D to C&C, the game that we're all here for, I was living in Michigan, and there was a guy who owned like a hobby shop that had just opened up in my city, and he invited me to like come meet him and like walk around the shop and see how we could like collaborate. So I did that, and we met, and he was super cool. His name was Rick Ankney, or Tabletop Santa, and he owns a hobby shop called Thunderforge Games. That's really, really cool. They do awesome stuff for the community. And when we met, like, GaryCon was the next weekend that year. This was 2 or 3 years ago. And he was like, come with me to Wisconsin. Come with me to GaryCon. I would like to introduce you to some people. And it was this man that I had like never met before, but for this in my whole life. But I said yes and did it, and he introduced me to the Troll Lords, and kind of the rest was history. There's more to it than that, but that's my life. I don't want to go on and on and on. Tapping is lowbrow ASMR. People need to be creative. Yeah, I want to get like weird. If we can get like a wet toothbrush tapping on something, you know? Or like just mix it up with the sounds and the textures. Bruce, welcome in. And Spam Viking, hello, hello. Mechanical keyboard with Cherry MX brown switches. I have this one, and it looks like this. I would love to look into a different keyboard, though, one day. Thanks for the answer. You were rambling about your life, just answering questions. I just know that it's kind of like a long-winded answer, but thank you. Thank you for asking. I always like to talk about how I got involved here, because I think that it's something that took a really long time for me to learn, and even longer to actually like implement into my life and in my mindset, which is like say yes to stuff and take a risk. Just always say yes. If there's an opportunity for anything, like say yes to the thing and do it. And the worst case scenario is you'll probably have a story to tell later, or you get murdered. I'm confident in my ability to not get murdered, so I'll take the funny story for later, you know? Serendipity. It felt very serendipitous. A lot of things could not have happened, and we wouldn't be here. and I would still be working in retail. It was all sorts of stuff. I was in a relationship that I shouldn't have been in. I was like living in a city where I was going nowhere. It just like I was very much stagnating, and Rick Ankney really like gave me a hand up into the industry. And I know that we talked about that before, but being able to give people a hand and like bring them into the fold, being in a position to be able to do that is the greatest privilege and honor that I could ever imagine. And that's my goal. My goal is to be Rick Ankney for somebody else, even just one person. So he totally, absolutely changed my life. And now we're here, and it's awesome. So you are relatively new to tabletop RPGs, but switched from D&D to C&C. Very cool. What convinced you to change? Pete, welcome in. Hello, hello. Sweet keyboard, thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm so behind on chat. So I started working for TLG before I started playing Castles and Crusades. They brought me on to do these story times every week, and I had never played the game before. So Steve DM'd a game for me and my friends, who are all part of the same like gaming circle, and we do our own actual plays together. It's the crew that played the Storm's Front. If you guys have seen that actual play on Troller Games YouTube channel, that was us. We did that. So he CK'd for all of us, and it was super, super cool, and we basically just immediately fell in love with it, and didn't want to play D&D anymore after playing one session of Castles and Crusades. It just suits our style of play better. I'm very much the player that wants to try like weird stuff. I'm always asking, can I try something weird? Or this probably isn't going to work, but can I try? And Castles and Crusades really allows that and invites that and rewards that. So that was what really cemented the change for me personally. I don't think I'm alone though. 47 years of tabletop RPGs this year myself. God damn. I got four. I got 4 under my belt. I'll catch up to you. That's how time works. If I just extra play, I think it counts as more years. Keith, welcome in. We'll meet in 2025 at Dragon Con. Kingsley, I would love that. I'd love to go to Dragon Con. I want to go to so many more cons. There's so many good cons out there. 44-ish years playing. My paltry 45 years. God damn. Wait, okay, so all of these fucking 40-plus years worth of gaming experience, can you all share with me some tips, some gameplay tips that you've accumulated from your 40-plus years of playing? What would you recommend for someone who's, like, new-ish by comparison? Chuck, hello, welcome in. How are you today? It was a quiet day of work. How was your day? Does 40-plus years make us grognards? I think so. I think you're a licensed grognard at that point. I'm going to start making like little licenses and printing them out and giving them to you people. I started in 86. Have fun. No, I can't do math. My dad taught me to play when I was 5 or so. That's such an awesome way for families to bond, too. I cannot, like, there was a time where I didn't think that I was ever going to be a parent. And not for some time, for now. But, like, one day, the thought of someday, like, teaching my kids how to play, like, tabletop RPGs, it's so exciting. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to meeting as many of the TLG crew at GaryCon in 2025. Yes! Yes, are you going? Are you going to be there? Say yes. You're going to be there? Yes. Affirmative on the going, on the being there. By the next GaryCon, I want to have a better camera so that I can take better pictures of like the gaming tables. I know that some people are super not into having their picture taken during like the tournaments and the like the public games at like conventions, I'll always ask first. But if I'm gonna take pictures, I want them to be good, you know? Play a Kender thief / illusionist. That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you like multi-classing in CNC? Or class and a halfing? Try not to say no when it comes to letting your players do what they want. Totally. That makes a lot of sense. I can see how a lot of people would, like, especially people that are newer, and really myself, when I was new to like DMing and running a game, I often would fall into the thing of like, if it's not in the letter of the rules, then it's not allowed. And I was running Dungeons and Dragons, which is written to be more like that, like you follow the letter of the rules. But that's not the type of game master that I want to be, and I think that was very much like a beginner's error. To be a grognard, don't you have to play DBA? Here's the thing, for any one of us who might not know, could you just explain for any one of us in the chat who might not know what DBA is? I got a sweet ticket for GaryCon. Yes, fuck yeah. Dude, I'm so excited. Those handmade troller games, dice, d6s, roll lots of sixes. Yes, that is what we like to see. There are going to be more of those coming to our store pretty soon. I just talked with Emily today, and she is on it. So we're going to have more fairs and lots of opportunities for high rolls. I want to play Goblin Wizard. Can we just have a party of all Goblin Wizards? I love parties of like all the same class. I think that's so much fun. Oops, all Goblin Wizards. Come on, that'd be so great. They tried to kill my players. That's what all good dice do. Come on now. Started playing D&D back in '75, play tested CNC in '03, taught my kids to play, and we have a family game each week. Wife, son, sister, and me. That's so sweet. I'm like pestering my family to let me run a game for them. I don't know if they're gonna be into like a tabletop role-playing game. It might not be CNC that we all play together. It might be something else. It might be like Dread, the like Jenga game. That might be a little bit more their speed. But I want them to play so bad. My younger daughter was bored today, so I gave her the player's handbook and told her to read it not long after she was trying to steal all my dice. Yes! Join the fray! Kill your players or kill their characters. A very important distinction. For legal reasons, that's important. 45 years of experience tells me this. Play CNC over the name brand RPG. Oh yeah, I mean, it was magic when we played. Like, the first game that we played of CNC was just magic. It felt like anything was possible. We all felt like heroes. The Storms Front, to this day, is my favorite actual play, I think, that I've ever done. And I've been in quite a few. Like, I've had a pretty varied experience with actual plays and like a few different, types of themes and all sorts of stuff. CNC is so conducive to an amazing story. I'm so proud of that project, and like, I'm just excited for the next one. I hope to play CNC with y'all at GaryCon. Have not played it yet because I'd have to run it for myself. My friends are being lazy. That's the worst part, when you just like, the social circle does not accommodate. But hey, GaryCon is the right place. We're gonna have like 1 million games at GaryCon. I've decided to run some more games this year at GaryCon. I hadn't ran one in several years, but I did for the anniversary this year, and it was great. Yes! Chuck fucking crushed it this past year with the games at GaryCon. I went and got to like take a couple of pictures at one of his games, and everyone was having so much fun, and it was so cool to like sit in and watch. Very good times. If you can ever get a seat at Chuck's table, like jump on it before it's gone, because I think this next year they're probably all gonna sell out. I've been sketching ideas today for what I want to run at GaryCon. Do share if you can. I'm sad there is no virtual GaryCon. That would be cool if there was. Wasn't there at some point? Wasn't there like a virtual GaryCon in the earlier 2020s? I imagine there was probably a virtual one for like, I guess I don't know. I thought I heard something about a virtual GaryCon at some point, but... Whoa! Okay, you come here. You have been barking out of nowhere all day, so that means you're in jail. He just hears like anyone walking in the hallway, just having the audacity to like exist in a public space. Big problems from this guy. I actually need goblin wizards. I need them to form and run a wizards guild in the Goblin City. Sounds like a decent premise for a campaign. The first ever wizards guild in a Goblin City? Come on, that'd be awesome. That sounds like so much fun. Ooh, my kid won't tabletop RPG, but she plays video games. She is almost interested, but if I push... Yeah, I mean, the video game RPG to tabletop RPG pipeline is strong. It has a swift current, I've learned. So just keep the faith. Apparently there's no such thing as enough dice. Oh my god. Yeah, no, come on. There will be a virtual TrollCon. Yes, we need TrollCon. Not sharing my GaryCon plans, too much to plan yet. That's fair. There's significant amounts of undead involved. I don't know if there is ever like an insignificant amount of undead. Hey Ryan, welcome in. Thanks for tuning in from Facebook. How are you? Arf, arf, arf. You're going crazy. It's a crazy, crazy puppy. He's just very much doing his job of keeping all of us safe. He's a killer. He's a guard dog. He's a protector. He's here to protect us. Aren't you? Very much. Okay, you want to hop down? Good job. Suddenly Grace is eaten by puppies. If I'm gonna go out, I'd go out eaten by puppies. North Texas RPG Con next year for TLG. That would be awesome. I would love that. We have, or maybe we don't. Like, if you want to run games for us at cons, whether or not we're going to be there, I think, maybe Chuck can correct me on this. If you want to run games for us at any con, please do it. We'll reward you for doing it. Join Endless Worlds. It's our program for like getting organized play for Castles and Crusades out there. Hey, new type, welcome in. Your story is ready with your half-elf alter ego. How can I get it to you? If you post it in Discord and tag me, that would be perfect. I'm so excited to read it. But, actually, speaking of reading, I guess I should probably do some of that today, huh? Pardon me. So, today, what we have to read is the Trail Guide to Aihrde. I have never read the Trail Guide, So I'm very excited to do it. Sorry, I'm just finding my page here. Not just cons, anywhere as long as the games are available for the public to be involved. Exactly. Exactly. Wow. You know what? Hang on. You can actually go out of this room. Come on. You can go bark out there by yourself. And that's the end of that.
No justice.
Of course, now I gotta go take care of Kingsley, thank you so much for popping in. It was good to see you. But for now, grab yourself a cozy beverage, settle in. Hey! Peter, welcome in. Hello, hello. The dog has his or her own microphone. You'd think so. But welcome in. We're going to read the Trail Guide to Aihrde today. If you want to follow along, let me... Actually, I should have done this earlier. Just like pop the link to the Trail Guide into the chat real fast. I can hear him out there. There we go. If you want to follow along, that is the link to the Trail Guide of Aihrde. This is the art shown in any of the books. It's really cool. Thank you so much, David. This art is in some of our books. It's not in the book that we're reading today, but yes, it is in some of our books. That art that you see is in the Waters of Dunhollow series. There's 3 volumes of that available in our store, and they're all really, really good. And we've read through them a couple times here on this channel, but welcome in. It's good to see you. Today we're reading the Trail Guide of Aihrde. This is going to be a little romp through the world of Aihrde. We're going to get down and dirty and in it and see what an explorer sees as they work their way through the country. So cozy up, get yourself a beverage. Plaid, it's so good to see you. Hello, hello. I've missed you too. Hello, hello. Get yourself a cozy beverage, settle in. What's your name in the Discord? Crane writes. It's actually Troll Lord Crane, I believe. Is it? Yep, Troll Lord Grace. So there we go. Not a microphone, it's a subwoofer. Oh my god, I'm mad I didn't come up with that. But anyway, settle in. We're gonna do a little bit of reading. And here we are. Trolls Ah. The First Journal. Herein begins Master Vincent's journey as he departed the kingdom of Maine and the city of Ethanel on the ship Greenleaf. Hang on. Let's do that. It comprises abbreviated notes on his journey through the Gelderland, past Anvaltig, Tagia, Aachen, Eisenheim, the Northern Kingdoms, Zeitz, Grundlichhol, the Runeland, Hunj, Aufstrag, Ausberg, and many of the wilderness in between. He wintered in Eichstatt, Ausberg. That's our little preamble. Erstein 8. 1088, early spring. Ethanel, Kingdom of Maine. I sit here in perhaps the most comfortable and secure city of all the lands of Ursal, waiting to depart. I have booked passage on Greenleaf, which should take me from Ethanel, where I begin my journey, into the east, beyond Maine and past Eloria, up the coast of the Gelderland to Tagia, thence on to Aachen and Eisenheim and the town of Ostanjo. From there, I shall switch ships and proceed on my journey to Haven. I love a town called Haven. I begin my journey sitting upon a rather uncomfortable chair, whose very creation is an affront to any craftsman in any realm of the world. Despite this, the Barnesgate Tavern is a pleasant place that overlooks the harbor in the city of Ethanel, the southernmost town, aside from a lighthouse or two, of the Kingdom of Maine. Food here is very good, though a bit bland for a palate grown accustomed to the spices that adorn our own tables in New Enoch. The beer here is fresh and good, and I find myself, as I always do in Maine, drinking more of it than is good for liver and soul. The Kingdom of Maine is a wonderful realm. Born of the Winter Dark Wars, it has thrived immeasurably since then. Ruled by a king who also stands as the count of the 3 counties of his realm and enjoys the right of an absolute monarch. Louis III is the current king, and he is a goodly man and spends lavishly on his people and realm. The roads here are well kept and safe, the country free of brigandry and highwaymen, and the towns relatively free of crime. Trade with the peoples of the Massif and Keomar to the west is common. Only in the east does the realm suffer from depredations, for therein lies the Gelderland, a rough wilderness that I shall speak of more in the coming entries. Maine is a calm place, with only occasional wars with Maine is a calm place, with only occasional wars with the dwarves of Norgrad-Cam, who claim the southern Bergrucken as their own, and Keomar, whose own king claims suzerainty over sorry, that's a word I don't recognize, over Maine, something Louis and his heirs deny with sword and shield. Though the realm is safe and largely peaceful, one should be wary of speech and deed here, for the king rules absolutely, and his aristocracy toes the line. Though powerful in their own right, they generally stand by their overlord. The wrong word or act may find one in a dungeon that is easier to enter than to leave. Ethanel, however, seems free from most of this peril, for it is ruled by a local knight and his sweet mother, who are both kindly people I had the opportunity to dine with. It is a pleasant enough place to begin any journey, and so as I wait for the green leaf to announce its departure, I shall take this time to jot down some notes for reference and understanding of the book you hold in your hand. A note on the history. I shall not bother to recount the long history of our world and its kingdoms, a subject your eminence is well versed in. For such information, one must turn to the Andanuth and learn what they desire of all that came before. It is important, however, that we recall some aspects. There was the long rule of the dwarves and their bitter wars with the goblins, but after their wars and realms faded alike, our own people in Enoch rose and ruled most of all the known world for many years. Though that empire ended in war and famine, our people never forgot its glory, and it was our attempts to rebuild that lost empire that brought the Horned God to the world and ushered in the long centuries of the Winter Dark. It was our gilded memory of that past which summoned his bitter rule and placed our people and all the peoples of this world under his yoke for 1,000 years. His overthrow, though it began in Alfstrog, when the dwarf Dolgan rose in rebellion, was led by the Ethram, most notably Luther of Keomar, the wizard Aristobulus, and the half-elf Daladon. The Enochians did not join the rebellion until it was well underway. I make this note here, at the beginning of my journey, to remind your eminence that beyond our own borders, the people perhaps see the world in a wholly different light than we do. It is only 60 years since the Horned God's fall, and the rise of the kingdoms have made this world, which is both rooted in its deep history, but so fueled by young and reckless abandon. Notes regarding the vernacular. Before I begin my entries, It is important, I think, to understand that those people which dwell beyond the borders of Enoch see the world very differently to us. They do not see themselves or their lands in light of the Enochian Empire in the days before the winter dark. Quite the contrary. They see themselves as independent, whole and apart from our own people, and the long history of the Empress's house and family. They have adopted usage of the term Aihrde to denote the whole of the world that we dwell in. That, of course, includes the continents that decorate her mighty oceans: Burrow in the south, Athuk in the frozen north, Inclunade with her unbearable jungles, Surn where both the cold and warmth make a hardy people, and the largest of all the continents, Rhineland, wherein lies the heart of the old empire and the cradle of the world. The cradle of the world, a common parlance in the lands of New Enoch, of course, refers to those lands that immediately surround the heart of the empire, her old capital and lands. They lie upon the continent of Rhineland, along the southern coasts, between the great desert in the east and the Dulcet in the west, and the great northern forest in the north. Here lies the inner sea, and the Sea of Shanal, upon whose western shores lie the lands of Ephraim, named for the humans who settled it, and upon whose eastern shores lie the lands of Enoch, named after our own peoples. However, few beyond our own borders refer to these lands as the cradle of the world, but rather to something altogether different. They call them the lands of Ursal. This name is derived from the bridge that the dwarves built in the ancient days, that spanned the Sea of Shanal and connected the lands of Ephraim and Enoch. The dwarves called this the Ursal Bridge, hence the lands of Ursal, whose lands surround the bridge. So, please note that the lands of Ursal and the cradle of the world are one and the same, and these lands lie within the world of Aihrde. I shall try to use the more colloquial term, lands of Ursal, but I shall no doubt, sorry, my gears were spinning. I shall no doubt succumb to the more formal and proper terminology, as old habits surface and restraint fails to suffice. My trail guide to Aihrde is, truthfully, a trail guide to the lands and peoples of Ursal. All that lies beyond the Rhodope Mountains and the plains of Akrathos are beyond my current mission. Of language. There are many languages spoken throughout Ursal and Aihrde, but in general, they can be broken down as follows. Vulgate. The humans of Aihrde speak the Vulgate tongue. This is a common language whose roots lie in Old Dwarven, a language little used beyond the 3 Dwarven kingdoms. As the dwarves built kingdoms on all of the many lands of Aihrde, the Vulgate is spoken almost everywhere. From Surn to Inclunade to Ursal, people speak this common tongue. Hey Blaze, welcome in. Hey, it's your birthday, happy birthday! From Surn to Inclunade to Ursal, people speak this common tongue. The Dwarven language is also the root language of the giant tongues, gnomes, halflings, and goblins, so that many people in Aihrde and Ursal speak the same language, or at least can understand each other. Almost everyone speaks the Vulgate. There are other languages to note that are not rooted in Dwarven and have no common threads there. Elvish. The elves speak one language, but it has many dialects so that it is often difficult to understand an elf of Nigold's kingdom and the people of the Pearl, who live upon the shores of the Lothian Isles. Though with some concentration, one who speaks Elvish can unriddle these dialects. Ungern. This is the language of Austrog and the Ungern. This language is not spoken anywhere in public but for the Punj, the Red Hills, and some of the townships of Torrik. Holy tongue. This is a language that is as much emotion as it is one of spoken word. The holy knights of the Ephraim speak this tongue. Most notable are the confession knights and holy defenders of the flame. Runic tongue, a language for wizards and the like, rarely spoken in public. There's one thing here of coin, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and skip that and go on to the trail notes, because we know what money is. There's a gold, a penny, a copper, a silver, yeah, you know. Aihrde 10. The green leaf departed Ethanel under good weather early this morning. We crossed the mouth of the Gulf of Hul to skirt the southern tip of the Gelderland. Few enter the bay, unless need dictates, as it is a dangerous stretch of water, for at times one encounters a red mist, some foul unction rising from the deeps, that clings to the surface and beguiles the unwary with nightmarish dreams and terrors that drive them into desperate madness. I have crossed it twice in my long life and wish to never cross it again. 'Tis said they are ancient vapors of the old world, even before the dwarves. Aihrde 12, early spring. We passed into the Alorian Sea, that small space of water between Aloria and the Gelderland in the early hours of yestermorn, and have spent the better part of today making our way to the Straits of Ungara. Captain Yenuth, a goodly woman of the Hants city-states, whose gray hair she earned on many a voyage, has told me with no room for argument that she will not put in at Aloria, the city where the Prince Morgeld rules his strange kingdom. This is a shame, really, for Aloria can be, if one is careful, a wonderful place. It is ruled by the half-human son of Saint Luther, Lord of the Dreaming Sea. Thank you very much, please. They call him half-son in reference to his half-humanity, but never to his face, for it is rumored that during the days before the winter dark, a demon of the wretched plains beguiled Luther, and lay with him, and begot a son of their coupling. Whether true or not, few know, but what is known is that the prince is immortal, or damn near so, for he fought during the winter dark years, and in the winter dark wars. He captained a troop of elves, and men called the Immortals. Men called them the Immortals, I think it's supposed to say. A wild band of powerful warrior mages and knights that dwelt both in this world and another, bound by drugs of strange design to an understanding of a world wholly unnatural. Morgeld led these immortals on countless campaigns, fighting alongside Luther and the others to overthrow the Horned God. When at last the wars ended, he quarreled with the Dreaming Knight and removed himself to these islands off the coast of the Gelderland. There are 4 of them, and they are wild and wicked places, filled with monsters of the old world, and new terrors crafted in the dungeons of Aloria. The town itself is a wonderful place, built upon high hills, comprising of high marble steps that rise to tall walls, and minarets built upon palaces, where the cobbled streets wind between buildings of wondrous design. It's like being in a land of the gods, for all things are clean, the town built of marble of many colors. The food there is unbearably good, and the wine like nothing you've ever taken, though one must, for certain, drink it sparingly, for it may cause more delusion than not. And that delusion is what the Immortals thrive upon. Though it houses only several thousand people, her streets are difficult to navigate, but the people are generally friendly and enjoy strangers. It can, however, be dangerous. Speaking ill of the prince may garner harsh punishment or death, and the immortals are prone to rash acts and are immune to any of the laws of men or gods. I'll miss the food and wine of my favorite eatery there, the Bottled Neck, run by a goodly man and his 3 daughters. But truth be told, the risk to my old limbs of running afoul of some strange artifact is more than I can bear at the beginning of my journey. Aihrde 13. We are wishing now that we had put in at Aloria. Pirates assaulted us in the early hours of the morning, just as we were leaving the Straits of Ungara. They came from the north, probably sheltered in the shadows of the Ordog Wood. It was a rough bunch of men and orcs, probably of the Othine tribe. A violent contest soaked our deck in blood and left not a few of our crewmen dead. That captain ordered me to lead a boarding party, and I did so, fighting on their deck as she fought on ours. It's been a few years since last I hefted a sword in battle, but truth be told, it felt good. I felt young again. I could smell the salt in the air as I swung from one ship to the next, and the first of my opponents, a red-haired man with one good eye, soon felt my blade through skull cap and bone until it left his one good eye a ruin. We carried the battle down the foredeck and onto the main, where the captain joined us, pushing the pirates back. This turned it for them, and they sought to break free, but having no escape, we slew most of them. Some jumped into the sea, and those that surrendered we hoisted from their own mast and set the ship adrift. There was no sign of the ship's captain. We did not seek to plunder the ship. Some foul chime beneath deck kept a rhythmic ringing, and the men thought it some black curse of the horned god. I had never heard the noise before, even in my long travels, and had sustained a wound on my hand, and so cared little for it. We set the ship, the Grey Moat, I think was its name, adrift, with the hanging ghosts of its occupants and weird chime as a warning to others. That's a funny sentence. Take your weird chime and go. Get out of here. Pack up your weird chime and leave. Aihrde 15. I have taken an early breakfast here in the Running Dog Tavern in the city of Icanthos. It is a miserable place, and a hard place to begin a journey that shall see me traverse many lands and visit many peoples. My ship leaves on the morrow, the early dawn departure being abandoned, as the lookout spotted pirates off the coast. We will wait for them to pass into the deeper shipping lanes before we set sail, likely sometime tomorrow. This is a wretched town of thieves, ruffians, and adventurers. It sits upon the coast, defended by walls built during the winter dark, and poorly managed, if managed at all. The Thief Guild run this place and spend more time fighting each other than keeping the town. The cobbled streets and stone buildings all harken back to a better time, but that is past, for filth seems to be the rule of the day. The streets are filthy, and the people little better, nothing maintained beyond the bare necessities. This free city is a rough place that profits only from the plunder brought to it from those who enter the Gelderland, or with loot and treasure. The weather is already warm and humid, so I shall spend little time on the streets, as I did as a young man, when I was one of those ruffians. For now, I shall rest in the Running Dog Tavern and Inn. The mead is warm, and though it has a film that seems to cling to the surface, it is strangely delicious. Aihrde 18. We have been at sea for 2 days. The anvil wind has brought the spring rains, and they are even colder and heavier than usual. These winds come up from the south and west, bearing moisture from the amber sea, which is gathered between this continent and that of Inclunade in the south. In the south, yes. They crash over all the Darkenfold, Keomar, and the Gelderland before they lash the waters of the Sea of Shinal, turning all to a frothy mess. But the captain of the Greenleaf is seasoned and takes the rain and wind in stride. We sailed for the better part of a day and harbored in the Bay of Surn, where stands the town of Lianthos. This is another walled town of ruffians and thieves. Much like Icanthos, the people here live off of plunder from the interior and the occasional ship they arrest on the high seas. It is a rough town, and the captain deigned not to enter, preferring the comfort of her ship to some flea-ridden mattress on a rope bed frame. There are no good inns here, though the Red Roof Inn seems to have been the better choice when last I stayed. Good food, at least. Mostly wild boar from the Gelderland. I stand upon the foredeck of the Greenleaf, and I am surrounded by the Gelderland to the south, north, and west. It is a thick forest of deciduous trees, with little human habitation. Our people of old dwelt there, and the Ethram before then. But during the late winter dark, that land turned wild, and the forest with it. Massive oaks, elms, and birches dot the hills and deep valleys. It is a dark, dense wood, thick with undergrowth. Animals abound, large cats, a smallish type of wolf, antelope, and others. But there are monsters as well, creatures that seem to have come from the days before days. Fae abound in its deeps, sheltered in hidden glens. Felk, those beasts of Narheit's dementia, hang in her trees. Kuthis as well, and trolls, even dragons, it is said, dwell in these parts. It is a dangerous land. No roads cut the wood, though one may stumble upon them from time to time, vestiges of the old kingdoms, our own and the winter dark. These appear out of the morass and often lead nowhere, though sometimes they bring one to some abandoned tower, keep, dungeon, or long-forgotten habitation. There are orcs here, two great tribes of them. The Ulgars rule in the north, from their capital of Orgstal, a horrid mess of a town. The Othines rule in the south. One must be wary around them, for they worship Unklar and pray for the return of the winter dark. They design their temples here for human sacrifice, and the orcs of this land are always at war with each other. The elves to the north, and the men of Lianthos, Icanthos, and Freiburg. Few come here for reasons beyond the hoped gain of lost treasure and reckless adventure, though there are a few who risk the dangers of the wood. I look out upon the forested wilderness, and it is dark and dank, and the smell of it alone batters my senses with its hidden menace. Aihrde 18. It took us 2 days to make the sail to Freiburg, though it lies only 75 miles north of Lecanthos. The water here is treacherous, with many small islands and shoals, sandbars and the like, all turning it into a hazardous road. But again, the Greenleaf took its time and delivered us safely to the town. Freiburg is a town like no other on the coasts of the Gelderland. A jetty extends from the mainland out into the deep waters, built by the soldiers of Aufstrag during the winter dark. It wraps the harbor in a protective embrace. A fortified tower crowns the jetty's end, and not so long ago, a huge chain connected the tower to the mainland walls. The town guard could raise or lower the chain, blocking traffic to the harbor. It has fallen into the water now, and no one uses it any longer, though its ends still rise out of the waters. The tower lies abandoned now, used by miscreants and vagabonds mostly, and is called the Beggar's Tower because of it. 'Tis thought that the Lord of Beggars dwells there, but no one knows for sure. Those folk are as dangerous as they are mysterious. The harbor itself is deep, and the wharfs run by the Muddles Guild, a family of halflings and thieves. They keep it clean and orderly, for to cross them is deadly dangerous, as I know you are aware, as we have branches of that guild in Heimstadt. Freiburg is a town is deceptively peaceful. Her streets are, for the most part, clean and orderly. Cobbled during the winter dark, the powers that run the town keep them decently maintained. Large walls, maintained by the city watch, stand against the Mund, that forest of the Gelderland that abuts the town. They're tall, 20 feet high, 12 at the base, and spotted with towers. Stone buildings with their famed green shingled roofs are the norm, though most 2 or 3 stories tall. Neighborhoods are watered by deep wells, and the whole possesses a sewer system both complex and extensive. There are also a host of eateries and taverns. My favorite place is in the midtown called the Green Witch, which has good beer and better lager. Traffic from all the known world comes here, bringing almost anything one could desire. And many people, not just your eminence, seek out the green shingles that the locals of Freiburg manufacture here, though few adorn buildings with them as beautiful as your cathedral. For this reason, almost anything one desires lies in the bazaars and marketplaces of this town. It also makes it a dangerous town. The aforementioned Thieves Guild, several merchants, and other oligarchs vie for power in the streets of the town, and it is not uncommon for some brawl or other to break out, leaving dead and wounded, innocent and involved on the streets. Few care, and the barbers reap their sad harvest one way or the other, taking the bodies to bury or sell for parts to wizards and others. The barbers are a shortened name for the Barbers' Surgeons Guild, a guild of doctors, morticians, dentists, and barbers. One should heed the warning when entering Freiburg, that the factions here are real and will drag any and all into their turf wars. Be wary of the Muddles crew. They seem kindly and welcoming, but are the most dangerous of them all, and will Sorry, I'm just reading this sentence and trying to make sure it makes sense before I say it. They are the most dangerous of them all, and will a throat slit as quick as a pouch empty or tap full. And you know what? We got about 2 minutes left. I think that's a good place to end. Maybe we'll pick this back up next time. Maybe we'll read something different. I think I might want to opt for something more like narrative next time. But I have loved doing a little jaunt through the lands of Warsaw. It goes by so fast. It flies, dude, I know. But I'm so glad that y'all came by and showed up and hung out. It was super fun. Oh my gosh, thanks for your time, Pete. I super appreciate you. And all the trolls came in too. Chuck is here, Peter's too. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for popping in on this little stream here. Thanks for the birthday story. Dude, happy birthday. What are you doing for your birthday? Thanks so much for popping in and saying hi. It was lovely to see you. I hope that you have an absolutely lovely birthday and you get to do all of your favorite things. Your voice is relaxing. Oh, gee, thanks. I feel like sometimes I start to lose it. So more tea with honey, you know. Steak and bourbon. Hell yeah, dude. That sounds awesome. I haven't seen one of your streams before, so now I know what I'm missing. Come back next week. We're here every Monday, and we read fiction. So it was lovely to see you here. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just fuck around and talk, and then an hour goes by, and it's like, well... But it's been a lot of fun, and I've loved doing these readings, and I always will. Frost John, welcome in. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, we will go ahead and wrap it up. Let's go ahead and raid into our friend Charm. For those of you that have watched the Stormsfront actual play on YouTube, Charm was our friend who played Babushka, the Oathsworn old lady of our party, and it was awesome. So hang out for a minute. If you have like a minute to spare and say like one nice thing about Charm's stream, it means a ton to streamers when people come in for a raid and like hang out for just a second and like say a nice thing. So if you have a second to spare, it would mean a lot to me and to him, I'm sure, if you just want to hang out for just a second and say hi. But if not, go have a lovely, peaceful evening. And thank you all so much for coming and hanging out and chatting with me and listening to this little story. And we'll be back next week with even more. So thank you all so much. Mwah. Go in peace, make the words do good, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.